Hello and welcome. It's your Malik, your financial emancipator. So I wanted to do a video today to talk about this cheating scandal, this college admissions cheating scandal. You know, I've really been thinking a lot about this. I went to two different PWCs, predominantly white colleges and universities. I went to Penn State undergrad. I went to Villanova University for grad school. And it really, Villanova more so than Penn State, although Penn State had its own competitive nature. Villanova is a competitive, considered to be elite, not Ivy League, but a competitive university. And this idea that parents whose children have everything, have access to all the resources that other children do not have access to, that those parents would then, after they spend all this money putting their children into all these private and elite schools in grade school and middle school and high school, would then turn around and be required to cheat to get their children into college, into these elite colleges, is really startling to me. But it's also a description and a really good definition of why wealth is not something you should aspire to. You should probably aspire to be good and be a good person and work hard, because these people, and I read the indictment, right? Sometimes when I have time, and even when I don't have time, I need to get a distraction from work, I'll read indictments in these kind of cases because I want to know what exactly the government is bringing forward against these people. And when you read this indictment, particularly about Lori Becky and homegirl who's married to H. Macy, whatever. Oh gosh, what is her name now? It's escaping me. Her, them. When you read up on the Felicity Huffman, when you read up on what they was up to, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You spent all this money to put your kids in all these schools that go on from when they were in grade school. And Lori, Becky's daughter, basically is on the internet as an influencer based on the fact that she's in college, when she's already talking about she don't really care about college, she don't really care about being in school, she just want to be an internet influencer. And her mother fucking paid all this money to get her into a school she couldn't get into, USC. She could not get into USC. On her PSAT, she scored like a 1,000. But then when they skipped and did this bullshit on her SAT, she got a 1,400. The girl don't even know how dumb she is, because her parents did a lot of this stuff without even her knowledge. It is a sad shame, but the real part about it is I could go on and on about why this is the height of the institutional and systemic oppression of people who are not privileged, and why this country does really, really focus on those who have and those who do not have. And it's a trickery in a game, because you and I think that if we work hard and if we push our kids to work really hard and score really high and do really well, that they will get into these spaces and be accepted in these spaces. Whereas that's not the case. I told the story, and I've told it many times, about when I got to Penn State and had, I was the only black person in my class, in my first political science class, which was my major. And I sat in the front row, and I just started to hear all the kids behind me talk about how I was there. I had stolen one of their friends' spots because they had a friend who did not get into Penn State, and it had to be that I stole the spot because of affirmative action. Couldn't have been because I was smarter, better, and more equipped to be at the university. It couldn't be because their friend was dumb and unable to get in. It couldn't have been just chance. It had to be that I took something from them because they believed themselves entitled to be there. And again, Penn State is not Stanford or Yale or anything like that. But amongst people in Pennsylvania, it's really a high, one of those schools people really want to go to. And when you add in the sports to it, people really, feel strongly about going to this public university. But you got to be kidding me, where the professor did nothing, no one did anything. And so these spaces where you're in and you've worked hard to get there. And I'm telling you, even when it comes to me in college, I didn't work nearly as hard as I could have worked. But I definitely worked, and I did belong there, and I did well there. I got an A in that class, and many subsequent A's, and I graduated and did well. But this idea that there are people who didn't get into these schools, there are people who worked harder than me who didn't get into the schools they wanted to get into because space is limited, and you have people who have money buying their way into these schools, and to mind you, buying their way into schools for kids who don't deserve it. If you are someone who has money and has access and knows people, and you don't want to deal with chance with your child who's got a 4.0 and all these things, that's a different conversation. But you're talking about getting kids into schools they don't even belong in. They don't even deserve to be there. It's fucking tragic. But again, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about the fact that we aspire to wealth. And we aspire to wealth not because of the amount of money we want to have. We tend, as a people, aspire to wealth to be able to be in a space like these people were, so you could be better than the others so you can leave people behind. And I'm telling you, when you realize and you pull the veil back on what is considered to be wealth in this country, you will see people like Donald Trump, people like his kids, people like these people, these actresses, people like these very rich people who are mediocre at best, below average on the regular, do not try hard, are not that smart, are not that talented. And so therefore you see, when you pull the veil back, that that's nothing to aspire to, is that these people are not really they're not actually better. Like, and so when we think that there's this betterment that comes with being wealth, I want all of us to understand that you can work on being a better person in your middle class life, in your poor life, in your struggling life, in your working class life. You can aspire to be a better person. You can work harder. You can do things in your space. But to aspire to wealth in the way in which wealth is contextualized in this country shows you that you are aspiring to be mediocre, to be oversold as great, and to be less than that. You are aspiring to that. And I would like to say that people of color really struggle in those kind of spaces, because if you can recall, back when Denzel's son was getting into college and he received a scholarship for his athletic ability, they went crazy over that. Why? Oh, he should have to pay. His son shouldn't get a scholarship. He's taking a scholarship from other kids. His son worked for it. But there was even a discussion about it. There was a case recently where a girl really scored high on her SATs and they thought she had to have cheated because she was a black girl. It's like, but see, so this is not an equal playing field. And wealth does not make you better. To be born into wealth usually makes you worse because you don't have to work for anything. So this girl, Lori's daughter, Lori from Full House, her daughter, is an Instagram influencer based on being in college. And the chick would have never gotten into USC if she did not have her parents pay this, what they call side doorway. They pretended the girl played row or crew or one of them sports. They photoshopped a picture of her in order to get her into USC on an athletic scholarship. Her guidance counselor was like, wait a minute, this girl don't play no sports. Like, everybody saw it. So I'm happy that they got arrested. I'm happy that they were indicted. And I'm happy that this veil is being pulled off so that other people who think they're going to benefit from these type of schemes don't. And if they do, they're going to get caught and they're going to be, charged and embarrassed. This is very embarrassing to this girl, I'm sure, and her parents. And they should be embarrassed. But I hope that what it does for us as people who are trying to get to a financially stable place in our lives, that we pull back the veil on what is considered to be wealthy and realize that it's family wealth and generational wealth, like some of these people are experiencing, does not make you better. When you're born into things sometimes and you just have access and all these things, you do not aspire to be better for real. You aspire to be better in terms of how you can be better this way. So these people want to be better than each other. They're in their own little competition about being better than each other, other wealthy people. They're not thinking about being better than you. They're already better than you. They have more than you. And so instead of aspiring to mediocrity, because that's exactly what it breeds, as we're seeing this, and that it breeds to be mediocre, we should probably aspire to be good people. We should probably aspire to be people who can maintain our own financial stability, we need to be able to have generational wealth for our families, pass things down. We need to be that, but we also need to aspire to be in that, to remain good people. And people who are willing to work hard. And people who are willing to make sure that our children work hard. And this idea that I want it to be easier for my kids. And let me just tell you, a good example of this is the Obamas, right? Those two people, whatever you can think, whatever you want about the two people that you're talking about, that couple, Michelle Obama went to Princeton on an application. Her brother went there on an application. These people who didn't come from no name, no nothing, they went to an Ivy League school. Barack Obama went to 2 Ivy League schools. They both went to Harvard on their own merits. And so the fact that their daughter goes to Harvard is normal. Her parents went to Ivy League schools. So if there was an issue about them going to college and stuff like that, it would be a tainted issue. It would be no reason for it, because guess what? Both their parents went to Ivy League schools. And those girls are probably working really hard. And it's not because they're not wealthy like these people. They're not going to go. And even though her father was president, they're probably making that girl really work hard. And why? You tell me. So I just wanted to get that off today. I had to talk about it. Couldn't let it go by. I just wanted to say that we should not aspire to wealth that is really a mediocrity in this country. We need to aspire to be good, financially stable, and financially free. Thanks for listening today. Have a great day.